New Mexico Crime Files, a deep dive into the archives, shocking and notorious cases, the arrests and what led to them, and what happened to the suspect. Here are your hosts, Dean Staley and Jessica Garate.
Welcome to another episode of New Mexico Crime Files. We have a real treat for you today. We have one of our very finest investigative reporters who was following this story very closely all along the way. I'm Dean Staley with KRQE News 13.
And I'm Jessica Garate. It is my pleasure to introduce our investigative reporter, Ann Pierret. Ann, welcome. Ann, tell us a little bit, how long have you been here at KRQE?
It's about 4 years at this point.
And she's broken some major big stories. I see her in her office all day long going through stacks and stacks and stacks of records and court documents. And
I like to print things.
Lot. You do like to print things.
Yeah.
And so it's very well organized, but her office has got a lot of documents in there.
Yeah, you might lose me at some point.
Yeah.
And we brought you in for the story. This is an 8th DWI arrest for this woman. First, tell us, how did you learn about this story?
Yeah, we noticed the sentence that she was going to receive. She received a plea deal, and so she had pled guilty to her 4th DWI, but admitted to a 5th DWI. And one thing they did here in our state to really crack down on DWIs was create stricter penalties. So she was looking at prison time for pleading guilty to just a 4th. She was looking at 6 months in prison, but they were going to allow her to serve that from home through the community custody program, which we can get into, but and then to participate in DWI court. So the question kind of became, what message does this send that you get this second chance when you've already received how many second chances leading up to this point?
So let's go ahead and take a look at your story. I think that's one thing that really stands out is you just see how inebriated these people are, and they're on the road next to you.
This is Jennifer Whitey's 8th arrest for drunk driving.
Come towards me.
What is going on?
Her 4th in a 2-year period.
I had tried to stop you numerous times.
I didn't even know.
You didn't hear the sirens or see the lights or...
No.
When the officer let Whitey have a break from the holding cell for the second time.
What are you doing? Stop. Stop. What are you doing?
No.
Stop it.
Leave me alone.
She tried to run from the substation.
Help me! Let me go! Help!
And as with all of Whitey's DWI arrests, she only spends a night or two in jail, then receives a lenient sentence. As part of a plea deal under the former DA, Raul Torres, Whitey admits guilt to that December 2021 case and 2 other recent arrests from a month prior and March 2020. She also acknowledges 2 previous convictions from 1997 and 2014. The agreement, despite establishing 5 DWIs, Whitey will only plead to a 4th offense.
How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty.
Because this is a 4th DWI conviction, Whitey should be spending a mandatory minimum of 6 months in jail. It's the law. This agreement has her participating in DWI court first. If she completes it, Whitey will then serve a sentence of a little more than 7 months in the community custody program, remaining out in the public on an ankle monitor with random drug tests and weekly counseling.
I mean, this is a very frustrating.
State Senator George Munoz helped pass a law in 2016 that toughened up DWI sentences and says there's a reason why time in a jail cell became mandatory for a 4th offense.
There becomes a point in time when if you have a problem and you're in danger of killing people, that it's time you need to go away for a little while.
But because community custody is run through the Metropolitan Detention Center, the DA's office says it considers the program jail.
It sounds to me like the DA is not informing the judge, and the judge is not informed on the statutes. It reads very clearly that on the fourth time you are going to jail. It doesn't say may, shall, will.
We want to see the judges coming down hard on a reoffender like this, so we want to see them sentencing as they should be.
Katrina Lotka with Mothers Against Drunk Driving says the organization watches DWI cases move through the courts and would like to see consistency in sentencings.
We want to see those stiff penalties happen. We don't want to see these folks fall through the cracks like this.
Judge Clara Moran did initially reject the deal, citing a technical issue and Whitey's history of DWI arrests. At that point, the DA's office told KRQE it was done offering pleas.
We know we are taking it to trial, though. There will be no offers made.
But just 6 months later, this almost identical deal was brought to the judge.
Does the state truly believe that this is in the best interest of the public and of the safety of the community?
Former Assistant DA Pilar Borneo says the state does.
She's not a scary individual. She's made poor choices. The facts of these cases certainly are concerning, but what she needs is that really good substance use treatment.
Borneo claims DWI court will provide that. She says Whitey's never received proper help and argues Whitey behaved for the 6 years leading up to 2020 and her 3 recent DWI arrests. A compliance hearing 4 months in reveals Whitey, who's living at home, is not doing well with DWI court. The state asks for medical intervention for her alcohol use because she's had a series of positive tests. Concerns are also raised about Whitey lying to the DWI court team. The judge tells her she's on, quote, thin ice.
First of all, Ann, an amazing story. I think the investigative work that you and Gabrielle Burkhart and Larry Barker do is so important. And to be able to unpack something this complicated, I think you really laid it out clearly. That was an amazing story.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It really was.
So well told.
And just the amount of time that you put into it and just checking every single piece of this story. And it's just very well told. So, and watching it, you just get so frustrated. And you can see the senator's frustration. As a viewer, you get frustrated because you're like, why are they given this many breaks?
Right.
And am I right here in saying 8 arrests, right?
Yes.
Originally. So when we're talking about the difference between 4 and 5 convictions, the system is not perfect, and the system sometimes loses track of the first 2 or 3, is what happened in this case, that you can't really go back and prove it. Even though there may have been a conviction, they can't find the paperwork. Maybe it happened in a rural county and they can't find it. So you're not even talking about the 4th and 5th. You're talking about the 8th arrest for DWI.
And rules change as well.
Right.
Regarding the first offense and the second offense, and that was a whole other thing. So yeah.
Just crazy. Then there's a very interesting, surprising turn in this story, which I've never seen a reporter do this in terms of taking this level of depth and clarity and intensity and going even deeper in this story, which I thought was amazing. And we're going to have that when we come back.
And welcome back. We have a very special New Mexico Crime Files today. We are joined by investigative reporter Ann Pierret, who just showed us this story about a woman, Jennifer Whitey, who kept getting popped for DWI and kept getting breaks. And when we watched her last investigation, it is really hard for anyone to have any sort of sympathy with people who are doing this on our roads. But then there's a whole nother part of this story. And how did you get there?
Right. This first story aired, I believe, in 2023. And so since that story aired, we continued to follow her through the court system. And I attended, I can't tell you how many hearings. I was grateful. Several of them are on Zoom. This was her going through DWI courts. We were trying to see how she's doing, and we were noticing, okay, there's a compliance hearing there. There's a compliance hearing there. That's not a yay, hooray, you did a great job hearing. So what is the issue? What went wrong? And so we followed her through that, and finally got the opportunity to kind of have a conversation I'd never had before that honestly gave me chills when I got the yes, and then even more so, it was a very emotional conversation again that I'd never had before with somebody involved in one of my stories.
And when did this story shift? Because I know as you're going through the process and she's in drug court and she's getting treatment and she's trying to keep it between the lines, are you thinking the entire time probably just going to be more of the same, that this person is going to go through all of this and she washes out and she's back on the roads? Is that what you're anticipating? Or, I mean, you're such a good reporter. I'm sure you're coming with an open mind about where is this going to lead us. Let's follow it.
Yeah, and the big question we had, honestly, was, okay, how long has it been since she first entered into DWI court? How many chances does a person get? We've already talked about how many chances she got to now, avoid this 6 months in prison or in jail. So now going through DWI court with all these compliance hearings, what's going on? And the court invited me out to one of the DWI court graduations, and you could really, I'm getting chills right now just talking about it, you could really see just the impact it had on individuals. And I started talking to some people about her. I didn't get to meet her or anything like that at that point, but you're reminded, I guess, that these are real people
who are suffering addiction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, the thing that really popped into my head that was mentioned in the first story is sometimes these people who are committing these crimes never got actual help. Yeah. And addiction is an issue, right?
Sure.
It's a health issue. It's a mental health issue as well. And so I think kind of changing the mindset right on that really helped a little bit with the approaching the next story. But I don't think it really changed until that conversation I actually got to have.
This is just incredible reporting because you followed it through months and months, years of following this case. And I don't think I've seen anything like this. And it really does open your eyes on what is, giving us that look of what does happen in some of these cases. So let's go and take a look. This is KRQE's and Pierret's investigation.
I think they didn't judge me wrongly. I think they kind of knew it, but they didn't know the whole story of why I was doing it.
The root of her alcoholism.
I was raised, poor on the reservation with an alcoholic mom as well.
Whitey says she was 17 the first time she got caught drinking and driving.
I have 5 children, but one is deceased. That was also part of the alcohol use. I was a kid having a kid at the age of 15. So I realized a lot of trauma, abuse, rape, kidnap, everything. I've been through it.
That reflection is the point of the DWI court program. The Bernalillo County District Attorney's Office says participants typically have a long history of substance use and are facing their 4th or higher offense.
The easy answer is to simply say, here's the jail, and I'm going to forget about you. What I have to think about is this: when that person gets out of jail, have we actually helped them or cured them from that addiction?
Because, as Whitey admits, jail's never been a deterrent.
It was just more like a free vacation in a way, and then you just start where you left off until you get in trouble again.
A short break from her addiction, but no real help.
Nobody's listening. Because most of the people will think, oh, well, they're going to be back next week.
And my fear always is, if they reoffend, are we going to end up in a tragic situation, right? So my hope with a lot of these individuals, and my goal, is to give them the tools so that we never get there.
Chief Deputy DA Joshua Boone says DWI court provides that. Off the bat, the defendant spends 30 days in treatment, then they have to complete 4 phases and must be sober for 6 months to move on to the next phase. So the program can take 2 years or more. Since it started in 2013, the court says only 3% of the 94 participants reoffended within 3 years of graduating.
It's really great to see that change in individuals and honestly to never see them again.
Judge Britt Baca began presiding over DWI court in 2021. Throughout, participants attend counseling up to 6 days a week, can only drive with an interlock, meet weekly with the case manager, are subject to random drug testing, and stand in front of Judge Baca every 2 weeks for a case review.
Both responsibility and honesty are extremely crucial to this program, because if they are not honest, then that is usually seen as more of a violation than something where if they're struggling with their sobriety.
She says violations can result in sanctions, like writing an essay for being late, or the more severe consequence, house arrest with a GPS monitor through the Metropolitan Detention Center's Community Custody Program, or CCP.
We followed Whitey through the 29 months she spent in the DWI court program. She had 10 hearings on violations.
We did step up her supervision to in-person visits twice a week.
I think that the positive test is very significant.
Judge Baca sanctioned Whitey to CCP twice for a total of 69 days.
And it's expected to have these hiccups, and that's what the program's for. That's what the support is for.
Whitey graduated in May, but as her defense attorney, Jennifer Pearl, points out, she's not done yet.
Right now, she's technically in custody. She's on CCP, so it's not like she just did the program and then I left. Yeah. It's very restrictive what she can and can't do right now.
There are mandatory sentences for DWI offenses. For pleading to a fourth, Whitey is under house arrest for 6 months. Attention and structure Whitey's grateful to finally have.
Like I tell everybody, don't look at my gain, look at my struggles. You know, listen to my story. I got my own life back.
Such a powerful story.
Yeah. Wow. And everyone around this table has been a journalist for a lot of years. So when Jess and I say, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, that is really special that you captured that moment. It took us inside. And what did it feel like when this woman said thank you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm having chills just rewatching it. I was put back in that moment, and I appreciate the compliment for sure. I just, even first meeting her was like a weird feeling for me, because she'd secretly, right? Like I never spoke to her. I went to all these hearings, whether it was on Zoom or in person, and we never spoke. And so this was my first time, and getting to say to her, you know, finally mid-interview, I said, what do you think about the fact that I have followed you? You know, like, I've been there for all of this. There could have been somebody else that I paid attention to, but you know, we called you out. We put your worst days on TV. And that's when she told me, I watched that, and that changed my life. Yeah. And then she said, and I'm not upset with you at all. I want to thank you, because it really impacted me in a positive way. And I'm like, I just started. Whew, it was, yeah, it was a really cool feeling.
And an incredible story. We're going to take a short break. This is a story about DWI. It's about addiction. It's about public safety. And it's also about redemption. So much to unpack when we come back.
And welcome back to this episode of New Mexico Crime Files. We are joined by our investigative reporter, Ann Pierret, who has been walking us through this incredible story of, I like to say redemption, because I've never seen anything like it. It was a woman who'd been arrested for DWI 8 times and then gets a break, but then finally gets the help that she needs by going through DWI court and graduating from there. And take us back. I know you said you were really shocked when she agreed to do the interview. And what was it like, you know, when we see the side of them in these videos, and it's so hard to see anything more than that. And you were really able to show what kind of person she was.
And I think that's so much a part of our job, right? To remind people, like, these people live in our community too. And while they may have done something horrible that really upset us, you know, it is hard to get past that. But having a conversation with her, I was really just reminded, this is a mom, I'm a mom. You know, this is a woman who grew up, she had a really tough childhood. And having her be so vulnerable and really share all of that with me too was such a gift. Like it was such an honor to hear her being willing to just share all of that. And yeah, it just reminds you, like, addiction really is a disease. And sometimes, as we heard the DA say, you know, you got to get to the root of this problem. And if you can, and people are willing to change, it works out well for them. And then look, it helps the entire community, because they're not going to go to do it again, right? But sometimes it doesn't work out, and he's admitted that too, you know, and they've sent people to prison. So
yeah, I think what struck me about that interview is what comes through from her is her humanity and her strength and her honesty. And sometimes I think when people are at the very rock bottom, what you get from those people, whether it's an alcoholic or a drug addict, that there's this honesty. Like, there's no game here. I'm not trying to, you know, lead you one way. I'm just going to tell you how it is. And I really felt like she was candid about the whole thing in a way that was really amazing.
And that's that's a huge piece of the program, because if you remember the judge saying that too, like, you have to be honest. And that, there was someone I spoke to who's involved in the program earlier on when they've realized what we were doing and following her, and they were like, thank goodness, we're glad you're paying attention, because she was not honest.
Yeah.
So for me to see that change from her really struggling and everyone being so frustrated and annoyed with her to her sitting there, I mean, spilling her guts to me, it was life-changing for me, honestly. It was very, very special.
Yeah, and I think we forget too, for people with that sort of addiction, you know, that addiction is numbing you, is helping you numb all the pain from the things that have happened in your life. But it's not really, you've never, maybe in her whole life, she's never been, have someone reach out and say, let's talk about those, let's work through the traumas, let's get you to a healthier place mentally, right? Where the alcohol isn't as necessary, right? You're not trying to hide from that stuff, you work through it somehow. So, but for this process, that probably never would have happened, right? She's not going to just show up to a counselor's office and say, I've got some issues.
And she said that. I mean, and just kind of also looking forward, looking to her future. In that lapel, you saw that vehicle she was in. She was living in that vehicle. She now has her own apartment. Like I said, she's going to go see her grandbaby. Her life has just completely turned around. She was talking to me about this business she's going to be starting. She's working at a dentist office, and they are paying for her to go to school. And I have chills telling you this. It's just so exciting because other people are now believing in her, and she had never had anyone, as you're saying, believe in her, care about her in that way. So really special. I'm just so honored she was willing to sit down with me and have that conversation.
Great sharing these stories, and it's been such an honor having one of our best reporters in here and speaking about some of the work you're doing. Incredible work. Well, I think that wraps another New Mexico Crime Files for us.
Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.